Hello and welcome to the Manosphere. Let me just sort myself out here. What's going on here? Why is there so many fluff on here today? Welcome to the Manosphere Paradigm, the channel where we learn to level up in health, wealth, relationships, and hobbies. I want to welcome you to tonight's live stream. It is the channel, like I said, health, wealth, relationships, and hobbies. And tonight I want to touch on an article where when it comes to men and what is required of us when it comes to applying for, whether it is the army, applying for institutions, when they have strict entry requirements that you need to get to. So the title for tonight is Modern Man Fighting Against the Army Swim Entry Test. You heard me. I said a modern man is fighting against an army swim entry test. Why do I say a modern man? Because if it was your straight old masculine man, that was your old school army dude, they would have told him this is the test, and he would have said to himself, okay, fine, this is what I need to do, and went out there, did it. Either he qualified, he made it, he's in, or he didn't qualify, he's out, and he go do something else. But never has it dawned or has it been a question to basically ask and challenge the actual test itself. But in today's day and age, men has been taught, and for decades have been taught to basically have themselves be led by the emotions and basically go with what they feel and not with what they know. As because when it comes to the army, I'll put up that shot again, and there we go. When it comes to the army, I mean, when it comes to what you do out there, it is a matter of life and death. I myself, I have family that is in the army. My sister is a captain. Her husband is also in the army, and they have been in it for years. So I have military family. I know they've been deployed to some scary places, and they came back and made it back. So when it comes to what you got to do out there, they know exactly what it is. My mom always pushed me to do the Navy. I always said, no, the Navy isn't for me, although I can't swim, definitely. But when it comes to the army, it's a matter of life and death. Each and every decision that they make out there is going to cost them either their lives or someone else's lives if they're not making the right decisions at the right time. So when it comes to today's men, or the way they've been brought up, they believe that they can go and basically, I don't know, they can challenge what the normal standard is, and they want to have a change, or in effect have the bar lowered so that they can get over. That's kind of like this whole type of quota system mentality, and there's different type of mechanism. Obviously, in the country that we have, as South Africa, we have inequality like any other country, the gap between the rich and the poor. And there's obviously been historical events that has played out that has created some of the divides that we have. But in the previous video that I discussed, you can go check it out. It's called Stop Having a Victim Mentality. Go check out it's one of my 40 videos. It's out there. Where I talk about, if you want to become successful and you want to get to the next level, you cannot continue to make excuses and continue to blame the past for what has happened. Yes, I played a significant part for where you are in the space or the place that you found you geographically, depending on if you live in the ghetto or you live in the hood or you live in a suburb. Obviously, with South Africa, with where you live, kind of like was dictated back then by previous governments. And it had a real-time effect as to how people were removed from good areas or the nice areas in Cape Town, and were moved out to the Cape Flats here in South Africa, Cape Town. But I mean, you can probably think to your situation if you're out in the States or somewhere where there's a similar type of history when it comes to people of color experiencing oppression and those kind of things. You know, there is a certain level of that kind of history in your country, similar to South Africa. However, as I've said before, that we have to get to a point where we get past the victim mentality and say to ourselves, we need to get to the next level and stop making excuses. Obviously we can acknowledge the truth and for what it is, but we need to get to the next level, stop making excuses, and push ourselves to become what we in the things that we want to achieve, and to become the person that we want to become, have the type of success that we want, and nothing is stopping you. So without further ado, I'll get into this topic. I'll just share the screen when it comes to the topic itself and discussing exactly what this article says. There we go. Okay, that's not going to help. There we go. So let me just make the article bigger. So a soldier vows not to give up in a fight against the SANDF, that is our South African National Defence Force, 25 meters swim requirement. 25 meters swim. And his issue is that, in the ghetto, in the hood, there might not necessarily be a swimming pool where people have access to these things. And it does make sense for him to have made that logical type of argument. It does make sense. The problem with that argument is when it comes to wartime and when the enemy is shooting at you, throwing bombs at you, shooting at you, there's no amount of shaming that's going to stop those bullets or bombs. So going into the army in this type of environment with a mentality that wants to object when something is not going their way, or something that is difficult for them and they don't have the ability or the drive to be able to get over it or overcome it, that is not going to help when it comes to a situation or environment like the army. Like I said earlier, it is a situation of life and death. You either get killed, you kill the enemy, or you get killed. And also at times, if you are a commander or you higher up the ranks, you have other people's lives in your hands and you are responsible for them. So with that, this mentality, wanting to object to a simple 25-meter swim. Now, granted, for me, you've probably seen in the previous videos where I mentioned I do some triathlon type of sports, where I do the swimming, the cycling, as well as the running. I'm not doing the full-on Ironman type of level yet, but I have overcome the fear of swimming at least 600 meters, 20-kilometer cycle, and then a 5-kilometer run. The swim has been the biggest thing that I was afraid of, because of obviously the fact that you can drown. And with the one event that I do out here in Cape Town, it's out at the Tierwater Dam. I don't want to name the name, but you can go check it out on my previous video, where every year someone, either there's a issue with someone drowning, may have had difficulty in the water and almost drowned. And when it comes to also cycling events, it is dangerous. You can fall, you can hurt yourself, and some people get heart attacks and things, and there's been incidences that people has died. So yes, it's a hobby, yes, it's leisure, but you are stressing your body, you are pushing yourself, and these endurance type of things is something that basically builds that tenacity. So a 25-meter swim doesn't seem that far for me, and probably for most of you that can swim, because it's one pool length, which is a Olympic size 25-meter length pool. And you think to yourself, I mean, come on, really, you should be able to do that. But obviously some people can't swim and it is difficult for them to do it. So I do understand where he's coming from. I myself, obviously at the time, I wasn't able to swim, so it was daunting for me to think about it. But I mean, when it comes to this type of scenario of where you now faced with a requirement, you want to be in the army, or whether it was the Navy, you want to be there, you want to partake, you want to, I presume that you are there because you want to it's part of you being patriotic, and obviously the fact that there's a job available for you and you can go out there and you can build a career in the army. Those are all the options that open to you, but at the end of the day, there's still a requirement that you need to fulfill to be able to get into the training. This was only the prelim in getting into the actual training, so that you can be in Pretoria, a soldier who has been fighting the SANDF for more than a decade. So he's been fighting this battle for 10 years to scrap the requirement that the member completes a 25-meter freestyle swim before enrolling in its physical training instructor's course, has vowed not to give up his fight. So he's got so much fight to fight a case like this for 10 years, but he can't fight a 25-meter, the fear of training for just being able to swim 25-meter, one pool length, swim that, and be able to say, you know what, I've done the requirement, move on to the next. No, he's going to say this is discrimination, and he's going to basically throw his toys, and he's going to put all that energy that you would expect him putting into towards doing the actual physical training to be able to do this and move to the next. No, he's going to put it in the actual fight to fight the army. And how long? How many years? 10 years is invested in this. Strike Zumba earlier turned to the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria to have the swimming component of the course overturned, as he felt that it unfairly discriminated against participants who were able to master all the components except this requirement. Now, if you are able to do the running, you are able to do the climbing, you are able to carry those heavy packs that you need to do, you can do all of that. But the swimming, you say, no, that is a requirement I can't fulfill. Remember, one pool length, which is 25 meters. You cannot tell me for 2 weeks that he could have tried to start training and he had someone help him in training how to swim, do it for 2 weeks to a month, and not be able to actually physically swim to 25 meters. This is ridiculous. You can do everything else except the swimming. Now, maybe, yes, you would think there's obviously a fear towards the water and fear of swimming. But if you're going to be in the environment where you're in the army and you're in that environment that is hostile, firstly, that is unforgiving, and you're having to push through something that you don't like, I can just imagine. I've never been there, but I mean, I've posted the pic of on the thumbnail of Saving Private Ryan and Captain America, but I mean Saving Private Ryan, that movie with Tom Hanks. If you watch that movie, it's gritty, it's nail-biting, and it is very realistic. And the crap that they had to go throughout that movie and fighting the enemy and being in certain situations and making the best of it, you have to have a certain level of tenacity to get through things like that. But with this type of fragile thinking that is displayed by this dude, he can do everything else, but that's just that one thing he can't do. And to actually just push himself to get past it, I mean, putting all that energy into that would have been so much easier. But to go further, he approached the SA military ombud to have the requirement omitted. However, he lost his case before the ombud and subsequently went to court. To qualify for the course, a member is required to undergo a 1 week pre-selection course. To complete this course, all attendees must be able to complete a 25-meter freestyle swim. Those members who are successful in the 1 week pre-selection course qualify for the 9-week course. So this is just the prelim to get you into that 9-week hell. The SANDF also offers what is known as the Basic Water Orientation Program, specifically aimed at assisting members with no previous swimming experience who wish to qualify for the course. Zumba asked that the requirements for the course be reconsidered, as he deemed the 25-meter freestyle swim prerequisite to be unfair and an invalid practice, as not everyone was able to master it. So the SANDF, in this sentence over here, I want you to just slow down and read this. The SANDF also offers what is known as the Basic Water Orientation Program, specifically aimed at assisting members with no previous swimming experience who wish to qualify for the course. So they have identified people that can't swim, and they know this is an issue because of people, especially previously disadvantaged people in the hood, in the ghetto. There might be one pool in the vast area, and that services the entire community. And not everyone can get to that pool. So they have created a program to assist people to get past this fear and be able to train themselves, be trained, and be able to swim. But still, he's complaining and he's saying not everyone was able to master it. So he knows he can't swim. He's scared of the water, and he's fighting the SANDF for a program they're offering for a requirement that needs to be fulfilled for this course. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. He also asked that the freestyle swim entry requirement as well as the lifeguard qualification be removed. He just, guys, I just think he does not want to get in the water. This dude is dead set on not getting into the water. He's made up his mind and he's going to come up with each and any and every excuse. He does not want to get into that water. In turning down the application, Judge J. Cochran said while the assessment criteria did differentiate between those soldiers who could swim and those who could not, it could not be said that it was unfair and irrational. Following the judgment, Zumba said, as the freestyle swim was still a requirement, he would continue in his quest to have it removed. He said his swim test, which was at the same level set by Swim SA, provided a reasonable entry requirement for swim instructors. Zumba said some of his reasons of challenging the 25-meter freestyle swim criteria for the swimming training instructor course, the instructor course, and the lifeguard course was that the criteria was not an intrinsic part of the component of the physical training standard in the SANDF. Some of the units don't have access to swimming, and now he starts making excuses. You know, it just goes on. And he ends it off where he says, a practical entry swim test similar to Swim SA Qualifications Authority standard can be applied, which requires members to swim 25 meters using any of the International Swimming Federation recognized strokes, he said. So you don't have to freestyle, you don't have to butterfly, you can do anything you can basically just tread water and get to the other end, other side of the pool. They don't even mention a time requirement. You can go in there, get to the other side of the pool, get out, you're done. But this dude is making so much excuses, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's just how have we gotten to this level where you have people that basically are saying, you know what, I'm not gonna do it. I don't want to do it. And I am going to basically fight us to the end because I'm not going to do it. So for me, one of the things I wanted to put up is that one of the first points that I want to make, I might sound like I'm rambling a bit, but I've got so many things going through my mind when it comes to this because it's ridiculous. The first point that I wanted to make was weak men does not qualify and are unable to meet the standard. You know, I spoke about the tenacity that you need to have. And again, I spoke about the environment when it comes to the army and going through something. Now, granted, I spoke about my family that's in the army. They've been in there for years now. And there's a certain level of grit mentality or tough mentality that you need to have to be able to overcome certain things. And like I mentioned earlier, the triathlon things that I do, the running that you do, the cycling that you do, the swimming, it is endurance sport. It builds a level of mental toughness. When your body starts giving up on you, you have this mentality to push through and push further and keep on going so you can get to the end and achieve your goal. Sometimes you set on the time, wanting to finish it in a certain time, but sometimes you get to a point where you realize, you know what, I actually need to just finish it. I just need to get to the finish line. And that level of achievement, my one story that I can tell you guys or share with you is when I did my triathlon the first time I couldn't finish the swim. I had to be assisted. They put me in the boat. They brought me back. The guy in the boat asked me, "Are you okay? What happened?" I was like, "Nah, I pulled the muscle." I made up excuses, and I felt so crap. And whenever I don't finish a race or I couldn't get back in the allotted time, that was the cutoff. That race was like a monkey on my back, and I couldn't. I always made sure to the very next year to enter for that race and make sure that I'm back there competing to finish it, to be able to say I got I completed this race. So that the swan was the very first thing that took me out the water and said, you know what, you entered for the race, you can go finish the cycle, you can do the run. And I did all of that, but I still felt crap at the fact that a buddy of mine that went with me, he finished the swim. He actually came out, one of the last people that came out of the water, but he swam the entire 600 meter, got out of the water, and basically got onto the bike. A year after, I couldn't go, but in the second year, I went back and I trained. I think it was 2019. I trained and I trained and I trained. I went to the swimming pool. I was at Sea Point swimming pool. I was at Long Street swimming pool. I just kept on training week after week. Sat on YouTube, checked out the breathing techniques, how to make sure that I'm not pulling in too much water. But to cut a long story short, I got that morning to the water, and there was a certain route, and that was mapped with the buoys on the water, and it was exactly as what they said when it came to how it was laid out on the map. That very morning, they changed the route. They added an additional buoy where we had to swim an additional part to the course to finish and get onto the shore again. And I already was nervous in being able to finish, and now they still added this additional buoy to go around to get to the shore. I got in the water and I kept on swimming. I was so scared of pulling a muscle or pulling stuff or drowning. I mean, that's a real danger. But I kept on going, I kept on going, and I kept on going. And the second my foot hit the shore, that sense of accomplishment that you feel, no one can take that away from you. And I felt so good about the fact that I put in the work, I put in the training, and I achieved the goal. I was so happy when I got over the finish line after the run and collected my medal, because I know what I put in. So that's why I always say, when it comes to building yourself up to be the man and to stay clear of being a weak man, there's certain times we have to prove ourselves. There's times, and there's going to be constantly times that we have to push ourselves and we have to prove ourselves. And if we do not put in the time and effort when it comes to putting in the training to be able to achieve the goal or the race that you're working towards, then you're basically going to have this weak mentality, because you're always going to complain about the standard. You're always going to complain how far you have to go. You're always going to complain about the conditions. Sometimes you do a cycle race and the wind is howling, but you're there in the morning, or it's raining, or it's too hot. You know what? The end of the day, when you get to the starting line, you've put in the training, and whatever conditions is coming your way today, you already made up your mind. You're coming over that finish line, and you have a certain time in mind that you want to finish. So if you are someone that is pushing you and training and gymming and pushing yourself physically, when it comes to the mental part, it translates into you being more mental tough to be able to overcome certain things. And being a weak man will just not be in you, and having this thing of giving up. A second point I want to make is they're unwilling to go through the process. Like I said, you have to get that early mornings, that cold water. When it comes to training, sometimes that water is so cold and you do not want to get into the pool. But you know what? A wetsuit will solve that problem and basically make you a bit more comfortable and keep you warm and keep your organs warm, so that your arms get enough blood, so that you be able to train and be able to do your workout. You have to go through the process of getting up, getting there, putting in the work, and getting through the tough times to be able to get the result. That is the way you're going to overcome, and that's the way that you're going to achieve things. And no matter how difficult, no matter how complex this goal is that you're trying to achieve, you just have to chip away at it one day at a time, so that you can get one day closer to where you want to be. I'm going to end off with the last point, which is weak men cannot defend their country. In this scenario, in this army scenario, this is a requirement that is some again where these guys that make it and get into the army, they want to serve their countries. They are going to defend their countries, and it's just not about going into the army for a career and having a job and being able to get nice benefits and to be having a cushy, just getting that security that comes from the army. If there is a situation and if there is war, you actually have to go out there and fight for your country. So having this weak mentality of I don't want to do what is required and I want the army to lower their standard so that I can get over the bar and I can be able to get a cushy job and a secure job within the army with all the benefits. And not even thinking that one day there might be a time where the army is going to call on me and to be able to come forth to protect the country and to basically show what you're worth. I mean, if the first bomb is going to be thrown, if the first bullets start flying, this dude was arguing against this swimming requirement. If he already has that weak, fragile mentality in just being able to swim 25 meter, one pool length, just to be able to complete it at the end of the day, being done with it, and then moving on to the actual hardcore training to be in the army and making it, then you basically have the tenacity and we call it in Afrikaans the durasectings vermoë, or we would call it what's it in English? What's the English word? That I would say tenacity. The tenacity is basically to push through things, the hard times, the tough times, the cold mornings, the hot days, the unpleasant weather. Your body is not feeling good. You're not feeling good. At the end of the day, you need to basically show yourself approved. That is something that you can't skip on that. So you, as weak men, I would call them in today's, I say modern men, because I make the equivalent of modern woman. But actually, we have a word for it, but for this scenario, it didn't fit as when it comes to Sims, but definitely didn't fit for this one. But definitely, weak men was a very good explanation when it comes to what this guy was all about. He is still fighting the army. His case is still open, and he's still wanting to fight this case so that he cannot get into the qualification program or the training program to be able to get into the army. If he can't even swim the first 25 meters to be able to get into the 9-week training program, how the hell is he going to have the mindset and tenacity to get through 9 weeks and at the end of the 9 weeks get the nod to say you're in? If he can't swim 25 meters, this is where this weak man or weak men will not be able to defend our country. And the problem with this mindset is that too many men are subscribing to it. Too many men are subscribing to their feelings, and they've been taught this way for decades to connect with their feelings, be led by their feelings, not understanding that there's times that they need to buckle down, and get through things, get through the shit, get through the mud, push through, and on the end of the day, on the other side, show themselves approved and get the result. This is unfortunately the type of men that's been created in today's society, and it is very difficult for us as a country to basically get to the next level if we are not pushing ourselves in being able to say, I know this is scary, I know this is tough, I know that it is bloody daunting to get into that water. I'm scared of drowning. I felt that way as a kid. I went to my swimming pool in the neighborhood. I couldn't swim. The pool was 2 meters deep. And at the end of the day, I went there and I said to myself, I'm going to just check out what these guys are doing. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to sit next to the pool, hold on to the side of the pool. Once the guys jump into the pool at the 2 meter deep end, I will go underwater and see what they are doing. I kept it onto the side of the pool. I looked underneath the underwater, and then I started checking out how they were doggy paddling. They were doggy paddling, or they were treading water, or they were floating. And you know what I did? I went over to the shallow end. I went to go train. I went to go practice. I did it for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I think I was, what was I? I was like 14 years old, 13, 14 years old. And I went to the pool every day during the holidays for the 3 week June holidays in South Africa, school holidays. I went for 2 weeks every day. I looked, I trained, I checked what they did, and I went to go train. 2 weeks training, paddling, plucking up the courage, scared. But I always looked over at the deep end, the guys that was diving into the deep end, the guys that was diving in front of the girls, showing them that he's the man, that he can dive, all the fancy dives they were doing, and they were the guys, they were the shit. And I'm sitting there in the shallow end treading water because I'm too scared. One afternoon, I just said to myself, the hell with it. I am getting in there. I ran and I did my dive as brave as I could, jumped as high as I could into the 2 meter deep end. I hit the water, and the very first thing I did as I hit the water, I turned around back to the shore, and I just started swinging my arms, started freestyling, got to the ledge, got out the water, and I was like, look at me now. I walked back, and I was like, shit, I just did that. I stood there, and I was like, nah, I can't stand here. It's gonna look like I was basically plucked up the courage, got into the water, and now I'm standing here, trying to catch my breath again, because I was bloody well standing there thinking to myself, I am going to drown. So go back, dive again, jump into the water, and show them that it wasn't a fluke, that you can actually swim. I went in there. The rest was history. I have not looked back since, where I was able to I basically went to no swimming school. I went to no swimming instructor. All I did was I went to my neighborhood pool. I sat on the side of the pool, went underwater to check what they were doing, how they were paddling. I went to go practice in the shallow end, where it was at least chest high and waist high. Practice for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And then finally got into that deep end. After that, I never looked back. So if I could do it with no teacher and actually almost drowning, because I just said, you know what, the hell, I've been training for so long, this must work. I went in the deep end, literally, off into the deep end, literally. And I stuck it, I got in, I swam, I turned around. Now, if I could do it at 12, 13 years old, surely this guy can do 25 meters and swim 20 and train for 25 meters, swim the 25 meters just to be able to get into the program. So that was basically me in a nutshell. I wanted to go through this topic where if we continue to allow weak men to stand in front and talk for us as men as a whole, we're not going to go forward as a society. I've been looking at some reports that's coming out in China. China has been embracing masculinity. They have been telling their men and boys, they're bringing them up in this environment to tell them that you need to be men, and they need all these toxic things that we constantly here in the West or in the westernized countries, where we push and say, we're all on the same level and we shouldn't judge each other. If you suck and you can't do something, you will be judged, and you will need to put in the work to overcome your fear, get the balls to the walls, achieve and basically obtain and get the goal you want. That is the type of men that our society needs. Men that's going to go for things. That's the type of men that women want. That's the type of men that the ladies want. They do not want these wet wipes that we call males. They're not men, they're males. Because all they do is they want to be in touch with their feminine side. They want to constantly cry and basically fall for this narrative where they actually ask women, so what kind of guy do you want? No, I want a sensitive guy. I want a guy that listens to me. All these beautiful things. No, she doesn't want that guy. She will tolerate you because maybe you are the option at that moment or at that time in her life, and she needs someone to basically be the sucker. You need to be the masculine man, go for the things that you want, be confident, have that abundance of mentality, so that when you date women and you vet a woman that you are allowing into your life, you're gonna do it from a perspective of always vetting them and making sure that they coming into your life and adding to your life. That is the type of man a woman wants to become part of some of your journey. A woman wants a man with a future. So you need to push yourself in growing to the type of man that is financially stable, that is a man that has physically good looking, that is groomed, that's well groomed, his style, he's got a good style, he's well informed, he keeps up to date with what's happening in the world, he's always goes out to train himself and upskill himself and learn, and he also always pushes himself out there in a social environment to be able to hone in his social skills, in knowing how to conversate, listen to someone. A guy that is well rounded, a guy that knows who the hell he is, and a guy that basically can tell you, no, I don't like that, and I don't like if you do that, and put her in a place when she needs to be put in a place. That is the kind of man women want, and not a guy that wants to cater to her, put her on a pedestal, and constantly tell her, you are this amazing woman, and I can't believe I'm with you. I don't deserve you. That simp mentality is not going to work. Our world and our country, wherever you are on this globe, whether you're in South Africa, whether you are in the States, whether you're in Asia, South America, and Europe, wherever you find yourself, never mind what the social narrative is in your country. The social dynamics in the way women look at men and the things that attract them to men and the things that attract men to women has never changed and will never change. All these social constructs that teaches men to be in touch with their feminine side and go for all these wonderful, beautiful things and be this wonderfully person that is so wonderfully connected to his feelings and all this beautiful crap. I'll say crap. I'm just gonna say that because a lot of guys are being fooled. We are falling for the trap and we are not allowing ourselves the time and space to grow, so that when we are on the level of abundance where we have our shit together, we start and we want to be with someone and we allow women into our life, that we screen them properly and we put them through the ringer to basically come on board into your journey. Because, like I said, a woman wants a man with a future, and a guy does not want a woman with a past. That is as simple as what it gets. And as a weak man, you're not going to win a weak man. Check out my previous videos where I talk about where you need to stop being a nice guy. You know what? If you look at a guy that's fighting the system in not wanting to do the requirements that they need to, there's a lot of traits that is very simp-ish when it comes to being the nice guy, always putting a woman on the pedestal, always believing that we are so oppressed and we can't go forward, and it's always the white man's fault, and we can never do anything because there is so much social injustice. There is so much what is it? What's the one? The buzz? What's the one that's systematic racism? Whatever it is. And we can't get there because the white man is always in control, blah, blah, blah. You know what? If you want to believe that, you believe that, and you can use that as an excuse. And one day when you lay in a deathbed, you can say to yourself, you know what? I couldn't do it because it was the white man and because it was the Illuminati and all those other wonderful things. Stop making excuses. Go for what you need to go for. Go for the things that you are wanting to do. Put in the time, put in the effort. It's not going to come overnight. My channel, when I started this channel, it was 1, 3, 2, 3 videos, and I thought to myself, I have no idea what videos I'm going to make. I went away for one afternoon. I sat at a restaurant. I basically went through my very next 10 videos I'm going to make, research, sat on the internet, went back and forth, and I said to myself, I'm not going to get up until I have 10 video ideas, and I'll be able to formulate it, put it into scripts, and be able to then deliver it in creative videos. I did that. Once I completed those videos were uploaded. I thought to myself, wow, look at where I'm now. Today, the channel's got 40 videos. Go check out those 40 videos. I've worked long and hard, and it is some of the things that I've learned over the years, and of some of the things that I've seen in life. And I've used my experience to be able to put those videos together so that men can understand, men can learn, and men can be able to benefit from it. This is the environment. This is the platform. What is the manosphere is based all about? Is about creating a platform for men to be comfortable, to discuss things, talk about things, and we have the freedom to voice the concern if they don't see things. If you disagree with me and you tell me I don't agree with you, drop in the comments, tell me what you think, tell me I'm way off, and give me a reason why. Too much we are being led by our emotion, where we are arguing a point and we say we don't like something, but we can't give a rebuttal as to why we don't like this, whatever's being said. We can't give a counter argument to refute what's being said. That is not a productive debate. It's not a debate at all. So if you got something to say, if you got something to add, I want to hear from you. If you're a subscriber looking at my videos, please tell me what you think. Tell me what's on your mind, and I'll definitely be able to put something together and give my take on it and create a video around it. So I hope you enjoyed today's or tonight's live stream. I came on a bit late. I scheduled for an hour earlier, but I had some personal things I had to sort out. But I'm on here and I'm giving you guys this content. I hope you enjoy it. And for the guys that's coming to the channel, 65% of you guys are looking at the videos and you're not subscribing. Please help out, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, so that the channel can be picked up by the algorithm, the content can be picked up and shared with other men so that they can learn. I'm getting better, I'm pushing myself, I'm investing in some equipment, and I'm going to make sure that I grow this channel, I push this channel, and I am trying to connect with other men in the space as well, so that I can create content that you enjoy, that changes things up a bit and looks at it from a different perspective. But that again was modern man fighting against the modern man fighting army swim entry test. Why, oh why, oh why? Go train, swim the damn 25 meters and get it over and done with. Fuck's sake. That's how ridiculous I feel it is. I understand the fear that people have of the water, but like I said and shared my story, I myself at a very early and young age got over that fear. I went to go try it out and jump into the deep end, literally overcome my fear, swam out, and I haven't looked back since. So that is just another illustration or story of how you are scared of something. I explained in the previous video the same thing with my motorbike. I couldn't drive the thing 3 years ago, the 600cc. I could only ride 125, 250cc, but 600 was too scary for me, and I had to sit on a 400cc, learn over a couple of, or at least over a month period, to get comfortable and being able to overcome that fear. It's all about overcoming your fear, pushing through the things that you think you'd never be able to do. But at the end of the day, you find yourself saying, you know what, when you look back, like now, last night, I went with my motorbike. Was it last night? Yes, I went with the motorbike. I came home. I enjoyed the bends and riding home so much that I thought to myself, while I was sitting in a bend sideways, thinking to myself, just a couple of years back, this was the scariest thing that I ever did. Now it's like the most fun when I just sit on my bike and go enjoy it. So that is how things can be for you. You just have to overcome that fear and not look back. I hope you enjoyed tonight's video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It's Manosphere Paradigm, the channel where we learn to level up in health, wealth, relationships, and hobbies. I'm out. Cheers.